All right, so we have here graph 4x squared plus 9y squared equals to 36. And then we're going to find the foci and then give the domain and range once we graph this ellipse. Now, one way how to identify if this is an ellipse is to look at the x squared term and the y squared term. And those x squared terms and y squared terms have different positive coefficients. So, and then we'll look at the hyperbolas and what makes how to identify when it's in a hyperbola. But before we start, we want to make sure that this equation, whenever before we graph, we want to convert this equation where it's equal to 1. And right now at this point, going back to our formulas, the standard form, we want to convert this equation so it's equal to 1. So how we're going to do that? Well, how do I make the right hand side equal to 1? Well, we'll have to divide both sides of the equation by 36. And then we reduce each fraction. So we have here 4 over 36 can be reduced. We have x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4 equals to 1. Okay, so we have what we need. The x squared and the y squared terms are positive different constant terms here. Excuse me, different coefficients here. So now at this point, we're going to use the information that we need to create this ellipse and then to find the foci. Now the formula to find the foci is a squared minus b squared equals to c squared. That is its formula. Because the key word in this section here is distance. Okay, how far away is our vertices, our foci away from its center. Now, this equation, looking at x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4 equals to 1, well, this equation, its center is 0 because we can write this as x minus 0 squared over 9 and y minus 0 squared over 4. Our center is 0, 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and identify that. I'm going to put that in red, our center here. So now to find how far away our vertices are and our co-vertices are away, we need to identify A and B. Okay, so as we identify A, the easiest way that I can tell you how to identify your A term or our A squared term is to look at the highest number. Look at the highest number that, compare the two numbers that's in the denominator. Which one is the highest? Here is the 9. So that would be our A squared. Okay, because if we go back to our equation. So this is saying here, since our a squared is paired with the x term, okay, we have a horizontal major axis. So our a squared, since that's the highest, is 9. Okay, so if our a squared is 9, then a is going to be, take the square root of both sides, 3. Okay, and actually we're saying plus or minus 3 because we're taking the square root to both sides. And then our b squared is 4, therefore b is going to be plus or minus 2. Now Since our 9 is paired with the x squared, this is the easiest way that I could show you. What we're going to do is take A and we're going to move along the x axis that number of units. So we're going to move from the center 3 units to the left, 3 units to the right. And because 3 is the highest number, this will be our major axis along the x-axis. So our vertices are negative 3, 0 and positive 3, 0. So let's count over 3 units from the center. 1, 2, 3. To the left, 1, 2, 3. And then how to find the points along the y-axis. Well, since the 4 that's in our equation is paired with the y squared term, that means we're moving along the y-axis. How many units? It's going to be 2. Count over up, down 2 units. Go up 2 units, 1, 2, and then down 2 units. And then we connect. So my graph is not perfect. It looks like a mini football, but that will be our ellipse. Okay. Now the foci it says, we said that an ellipse is a set of all points in the plane. The sum if whose distance from two fixed points is constant. So to find the foci, we have a squared, which is 9. We have b squared, which is 4, equals to c squared. Subtract 9 and 4, we have 5, equals to c squared. And to solve for c, we take the square root to both sides, and we have c is equal to plus or minus the square root of 5. And let's find out where the square root of 5 is at. And this will be, remember, going back, the foci will be on the major axis, always. So the square root of 5, let's just write it 1 decimal place. We have an approximation. So we're saying 2.2. So somewhere right here. Positive 2.2, negative 2.2. That will be our foci. And then lastly, our domain. Look at your graph. Our domain is from negative 3 to 3. And our range is from negative 2 to 2. There's our graph.